Hey everyone! Welcome to my channel. My name is Vanessa and you are watching the Exploring Oracle, or the Exploracle for short. Now, I know it might not seem like it, but I've actually been away for about a month. I went on vacation with my family and I was away from my decks, I was away from recording. So if I miss a few cues or don't follow my usual spiels when I'm doing this video, that's the reason why, because this is my first time recording after a long break. But anyway, let's continue with my deck collection series, and if this is your first time catching this series, I'm going over my entire deck collection. I'm categorizing them and deciding whether I will be keeping the deck, thinking about it, or if I will be rehoming or gifting that deck. I do have a playlist of all my other videos in my collection series and the ones that I will be posting next, so please check those out. So today we'll be taking a look at my deck collection about fairies, magical creatures, fairy tale characters. I've put all of those decks that I have in this category, and we'll start off with these four over here. Starting off with the Fairies and Magical Creatures Tarot, Card Magic and Mysticism. So this is a mass market deck, and it's still a bit new to my collection, and what I like about it is the storybook feel about the cards. The guidebook is also interesting. You know, it's well written. It talks about these characters like the Sandman, the Leprechaun. It talks about them and it relates them to tarot, and I find that really interesting because that's usually what I like about tarot, right? It's learning about new things, reading about how things relate to tarot cards. The packaging here is one that I'm not too fond of. You know, I don't really like box within a box kind of things. And I haven't really used this deck because it's fairly new. So as you can see here, it's still intact. It is in a somewhat glossy-ish cardstock. Also feels a little bit cardboardy, but the colors are really nice. And again, there's that storybook kind of feel to each of the cards. I haven't read with it, so I don't really know how it reads, but I do enjoy looking at it, and I'm excited to dig deeper into the guidebook, the stories here. You know, even if anything, you know, I think I've said this in a few other videos, that even if I don't really enjoy the deck, if I like the book, the guidebook, I would be keeping it. So in this case, haven't really read it with it much, but I think that the guidebook, the colors of the deck, the art are quite interesting, so I would definitely be keeping this deck. Okay, so this is why I don't like, you know, box within a box kind of things, because it takes much longer to kind of set them aside, and even when you use them, right, it takes more time. Okay, let's put that to the side. The next deck is a deck that I backed on Kickstarter. This is the second edition of the Solara Occulto Meliora Tarot. This arrived, I think, late last year. And this is a big deck because there is also a part of this deck that is an oracle. So I think these cards are oracles, and you have this as the deck. It's also a lot bigger than standard tarot size, almost oracle card size. The images are unique, witchy. I'm not really sure what the creatures are. That's why I put it in this category. But yeah, it feels magical, it feels witchy, it feels very grounded because also of the colors. Also, I haven't read with it because also of the size, and I do have a lot of decks, so it takes a while before I get into, you know, I get them into my rotation. And I think I would probably be using this somewhat later in the year. Even though we don't have fall here in the Philippines, it does feel like something that you would bring out in the later parts of the year. Now, it has a small, like, guidebook This one, and the font size here is absolutely, it's too small. The feedback has been given to the creator, and what she did is she released the PDF versions to those who purchased the deck, the backers, and it helps. But I just wish, I'm pretty sure there's a way to kind of figure out that this would be too difficult to read. And there's so much space, so I'm not sure which part could have been improved there, but definitely this could have been improved during the production of this deck. It's also a little bit too cumbersome or too big for me because I do have small hands, but I am excited to use it still. I like the art, and I've heard a lot of good things about this deck. So I haven't oh, sorry, I'm shaking the camera. I haven't used it, but I am excited to. Okay, and because of that, definitely another keep. Okay, moving on. I think I just recently did a flip through of this deck, and that's because I also backed the Children of Astara, which is the second deck from this creator, Alexandria Huntington, or Sia Hunt. So this is the Children of Lita Tarot. It is a deck based on the Sabbats, and it's an opposite way around. Its main themes are on Lita, so more of the creatures, magical creatures. So definitely something that belongs in this category. And I absolutely adore the art in this deck. I think the quality of this deck is really good. The oval frame, the colors, the art style, even the cardstock that was used, it's rose petals, so something that I'm not really fond of, but it does give a tactile experience, to this deck. It feels quite good. It's still not my favorite, but I really, really like this deck. So it's no surprise that I would be keeping this deck as well. Yeah. What do you think about the art? I mean, I really love this deck. It is edged in black, matte black. The guidebook here is also quite substantial, even for the size. I do like Sia Hunt's work. I am drawn to her, so there is I don't know if we would call it a bias. I think I have all her decks. I think so, yeah, because I backed the Astara, I have the Nameless one, and I have the Children of Lita. Next is another artist, creator that I really like the art of, and this is MJ Cullinane. But I think this is the only deck of hers that I kept. Oh no, I still have the Crow Oracle, but the Crow Tarot I rehomed. But yeah, so this is the For Haxa. This is the indie edition, but this is also available mass market. Now, the cardstock for MJ's decks are quite slippery, but I really don't mind it because it actually helps since it's this big of a deck, like an Oracle size deck. For me, it's easier to shuffle because it's slippery. So the art style is quite distinctive to MJ. A lot of her decks have this similar, I'm not sure what it's called, like it's like a collage, but yeah, I'm sorry guys. If you've watched my other videos, I'm really bad at describing things, but that's why I just show you the cards so you kind of have an idea of what it looks like. I'm absolutely drawn to her art style. So I really, really like it. And again, since I really like the art, and I don't really have any major concerns about this deck or things that I don't like about it, definitely will be keeping this as well. The guidebook for this deck is also quite nice. It's like a different interpretation on some of the cards in a good way, because it gives you additional insight, and I do like that. And there's no wasted space. I can read it easily. So yeah, the For Haxa Tarot. Okay, now let's move on to the next set, which is like the fairy decks that I have. So let's start with this one. This is the Faeries Oracle by Brian Froud. And this is a classic. I also did a full flip through of this, and this deck feels magical. I complain about the cardstock. I really don't like the cardstock on this deck, but there's something about the art, the images here. It gives me goosebumps. One of those decks that I really feel the energy of, even though I don't work with it that often, because I don't work with this type of energy a lot. But really, you know, just looking at these images, just holding these cards in my hands, it does have that really strong energy that I can feel. Like it really translates to something that I can feel physically, and that's not it's not something that happens with a lot of my decks. So this is one of those few rare ones that do. And what I love about that deck is this book. I mean, the price of the deck is worth it just to get this book. And to be honest, you know, I don't really have time to go through the entire book, but I would love to. Just reading the ones that I've pulled, there's a lot of information here, and I think it's really, you know, if you really want to learn about this type of energy, I would recommend this deck. Getting this deck for the book, getting it for the cards, starting to work with it, it's really, really worth it. It's a mass market release as well. The talk box, or no, not the talk box, the box that it was in was damaged, if I recall, so that's why I keep mine in a pouch and I just keep it separate. Next, this is the Tarot of the She. So again, another mass market deck, and this one I have modified. Oops, I put selenite in my decks. Let me show you the guidebook first. So I like the guidebook here because for each card, like here you'll see it's like a poem or a song even, and I really like that. And let me show you what I did to the deck. I did follow because it's quite big, it's like oracle size as well. I cut off the additional borders on the sides but kept the tops and the bottoms. So this is what the back looks like. Thankfully, I was able to keep the entire symbol at the back. I edged it in black, and I really like how this came out. But just so you know, when you get this deck, it's bigger and it is not edged. So absolutely love the colors again on this deck. It feels like, I think I described it as like grounded but cosmic. Yeah, there's oops, I don't work with this energy a lot again, but definitely want to keep this. Of course, I spent a lot of time modifying it, and I think just eventually, you know, these are the types of decks that I feel I would reach for if I'm doing a certain kind of work. Oh, by the way, I did one of my cards here. This is Dancer 10. I think I dropped Incense Ash when I was cleansing it, so there is damage there, but I think it just makes this deck or this copy my copy because, you know, I modified it, I semi-damaged it. So definitely mine, and would also be keeping this deck. So I keep it with selenite. Some of my decks with selenite, I don't know, I just feel like it helps cleanse the deck, especially when I'm storing them. Yeah, just something that I do. And again, another mass market deck. This is the Fairy Gems, a Crystal Oracle. So this is an Oracle deck this time. And what they did, and look at this guidebook, right? What they did is these are crystals and an associated fairy for each crystals. Now, if you didn't know, I do love my crystals. Wearing them, I usually have them when I film. I have a ton of crystals as well. So this was something that was definitely up my alley, or something that I would be interested in. Okay, so it comes with this organza bag. It's gilded in silver. It is a glossy cardstock, but I think that it also helps make the colors pop, although glossy cardstock isn't really my favorite. I'm not sure if the colors also associate with the chakra system. Haven't really gone, or I don't really remember when I use this deck, but usually when I do get decks, I work with them for a bit and then I keep them because I have a lot of decks that go on rotation. But I remember that I did enjoy my time working with this deck, and again, another keep. So I don't think, let's see, I don't know, but so far all of the decks in this category have been keeps for me. Let's see if that trend continues. Next, let's take a look at my mermaid decks. So this is a mass market oracle deck called Messages from the Mermaids from Karen K. It's a Hay House deck, and it's glossy, very glossy. I edged mine in this color. If you purchase it brand new, it does not come edged. Now for this deck, I do like the art style as well as the keywords. I like the diversity in the mermaids. You know, they don't usually see mermaids of different skin types, of different body figures. So I do appreciate that in this deck. And again, I do like the keywords. The guidebook is also quite nice. Oops, yeah. So here we go. Just to give you a peek. I like the tone, the voice of the guidebook, if that makes sense. So given that, I think I will still be keeping this deck. There's not a lot to say aside from, yeah, I really enjoy the diversity, the keywords, and the messages that I get from the mermaids. Okay, so let me put that to the side. Next is an indie deck. This is the Dame Darcy Mermaid Tarot. It comes in this stock box. And this deck, to be honest, I don't really use this deck a lot, but the art style is just so unique. It draws me in that I just have to keep it. It feels playful, but also serious. Not really sure how that makes sense, but I'm full of contradictions. But yes, I really enjoy the art in this deck. And for a while, I did try to rehome this, but looking at it now, I think maybe, yeah, I think for now this is a keep. It might change, but because of the uniqueness, I just think for now I want to keep this deck. And I also like the cardstock, but again, it's the type of mat that kind of clumps, but it riffle shuffles really well. The backs are so pretty bright blue, and the contrast in the backs of the cards are really nice. And yeah, for now, Dame Darcy Mermaid Tarot is a keep. Okay, so now let's go over my Joanna Nelson decks. So these are the Whispering Spirits and the Little Bug Oracle deck. I used to have the Monstaro, but I rehomed that. I resonate a lot more with the images on the Whispering Spirits deck, but I do wish she also comes out with a pocket size of this, because this is a little too large. Now, cards are bigger than standard tarot size. Longer than some Oracle decks as well. But this is the Whispering Spirits. I like the neutral expressions that I don't get with the Monstaro, because they always seem to be smiling or smirking, and sometimes, you know, it's cute, but it kind of throws me off sometimes. I do prefer this imagery compared to the Monstaro. The cardstock on this is a little bit cardboardy, and I think that could be improved given that this is also an indie deck. But for the art, have no complaints, absolutely adore it. And even though it's a big cardstock card size, I can still shuffle it, I can still use it. So not much complaint, I think. I just wish, you know, the cardstock is a little bit better, but nothing that would throw me off completely from using this deck. So just wanted to take a look at the images here. Um, I'm not sure, I mean, they're spirits, so I'm not really sure what kind of creature they are patterned from. But yeah, that's I think it's a distinctive Joanna Nelson art style, and I do really enjoy this deck. The guidebook is quite sparse, but it has enough information to help you with the reading, so I don't really mind that. And this deck will also be a keep in my collection. The next one, let me just close this, or let me just put this to the side. The next one is the Little Bug Oracle. So these are this is an oracle deck, and it's created from the bugs that are from the Monstaro universe. So I still put it here in the magical creatures category, even though they're technically bugs, because I do feel that they are a different kind of bug, magical bugs. I like the keywords on this deck. Again, the cardstock here is a little bit cardboardy. I do feel that if I bend this a little too much, it will show, or it will have a fold in the middle. And it's not really glossy, but somewhat it does have a bit of a reflection. So more matte, but there is a little bit of a sheen. So again, the colors are bright, the art is really adorable, beautiful, the keywords are nice. The guidebook is, again, just a few sentences, a few paragraphs, but it's enough, not gilded, not edged. So if there was just any improvement, I do love painted edges, the cardstock. I don't know, I'm not really a fan of this cardstock, but I don't mind the oracle being this big compared to the tarot. But yeah, for the Whispering Spirits, I do hope she comes out with a pocket size. Okay, then next we have the Crystal Unicorn Tarot. So this is really, I could have also included in my RWS clones deck collection series, but I kept it separate because they are unicorns, but it's really very much an RWS with unicorns. I love the pastel colors. I do like this cardstock better, but it is a type of mat that sometimes sticks and clumps, but it riffle shuffles really well. It's just with the overhand. Now for this deck, it's cute, but like I mentioned, it's really an RWS with unicorns, and I find myself not really reaching out for it that much. So I think this would be the first maybe I will be keeping in my collection. I don't really mind if I rehome this. It's really cute when I look at it, but yeah, I don't use it enough, and I don't really miss it enough for me to say that it's a definite keep. So yeah, Crystal Unicorn, a maybe. It's also not edged or gilded, but the colors kind of have this cool pattern. I'm not sure if you can see it. So it does look like there is some kind of pattern on the deck. Just to show you briefly the guidebook, just a paragraph for each. It does associate it to some crystals, the majors, so that's a plus. But yeah, again, it's okay. So it's a maybe. I might keep it. I'm keeping it for now, but if there is somebody who is interested, or if it's one of those decks that I put up for trading with my friends, and yeah, that is the Crystal Unicorn Tarot. And last but not the least, for the decks in this series, these are the decks that I got from Sarah Kathleen. So she's from the UK. If I recall, I think I got this all at the same time to save on shipping. So this is the Creatures Oracle 2nd edition, the 1st edition of the Creatures Tarot, and the 1st edition of Everybody's Oracle. I think I got this separately, in a separate Kickstarter, got these two together. Or I don't know, I can't really remember. So let's start with the Oracle. So the 2nd edition of the Oracle has this more expanded guidebook, which is why... Oh, okay, so I remember now. I had the 1st edition of the Creatures Oracle together with the Creatures Tarot, And yeah, but I rehomed that to a friend because she released the second edition of the Creatures Oracle. Yeah, okay, so anyway, this has a more expanded guidebook. So I like guidebooks. I like reading the meanings of the cards that I pull, and that's why I enjoy it a lot more. This is the size of the Oracle deck. It is bigger than, it's longer and bigger than standard tarot size. I love Sarah Katni's art. There's something about it. It's simple, but it conveys that feeling, that mood. Yeah, I just immediately drawn to these cards. I also love the keywords. The cardstock feels nice and sturdy, a bit flexible, but it doesn't feel cheap or like it will wear out quickly. So I do enjoy this a lot. So obviously a keep, because I am gushing about this deck. I mean, look at it. So this is the Creatures Oracle 2nd edition. She has come out with a mini deck, I think the Creatures Black and White. She's coming out with a pocket size Everybody's Tarot, which I will definitely be backing once it's out in Kickstarter. So yeah, definitely a keep. It's not edged, but yeah, it's something that I can do. But it's this kind of like slippery, semi satin finish, and yeah, I do like this cardstock. So I'm not sure if I edge it, if it would bleed. So might just leave it as is for now. And then you have here the Creatures Tarot. So again, similar art style. Just, I do enjoy it. And look at the art. It has some extra cards. Now the guidebook on the tarot is not as extensive as the one in the Oracle deck, but you can use any other tarot guidebook or book as a reference on how you can read the cards. And yeah, so this is the Creatures Tarot. The cardstock is somewhat similar, flexible, easy to shuffle, but still feels sturdy. And then yeah, just to show you, this is the guidebook. So it's really just a sentence, a few keywords for each. And lastly, the Everybody's Oracle. So this is I think this was just last year. So this was a separate Kickstarter. And the potato. So the guidebook is a little bit smaller than the Creatures Oracle, but contains a lot of information as well. The art style here is a lot more simple. It takes after the first, I think her first deck was the Everybody's Tarot. So it's the same simplified art style. It's just so cute, right? And I think you can do a lot of work with this. Now, I must say, I do prefer the keywords on the Creatures Oracle, because here you have like identifying words, which I do not really enjoy. But some of the cards do have keywords like this one, and this is the story behind this is like, the imperfections, the little imperfections that we have can actually translate to what makes us even more beautiful, something like that. So I do like those meanings. I like her art style. I like the art. I like how these cards make me feel. So also a keep. So this one feels like standard tarot size or just a smidge smaller. Again, not edged. Similar cardstock, flexible, snaps back, satin-ish. Yeah. So yeah, out of the, how many decks did I show? So I think out of the 14 decks that I showed, I'm only not sure about one. And maybe I'll show you like my top 3 favorites. Let's see. So definitely one, maybe the Creatures Oracle, second edition, and the Children of Letha, and let's say maybe the Faeries Oracle. So I hope you enjoy this video. If you're interested in my other decks or in my other collection videos, I will link the playlist as well. And don't forget to like this video and do consider subscribing to my channel. See you again next time. Bye! Okay, so I completely finished recording before I realized I had 3 more decks in this category. And these are like the fairy tale decks. And I put them all together here because there are some like magical creatures in these fairy tale decks, inspired decks. So I just wanted to lump them together. So let's start with the Phantom Wise Tarot. This one is based from a book. And I have yet to read this book, but I think it's the Night Circus, if I recall correctly. But I do like the art in this deck. It feels very moody. It feels really... It's inviting to go into this world of these characters. It's a bit circusy. And I edged mine in black. So if you do purchase this, it doesn't have this edging. It's like gray, if I recall. If I would describe it as more gray. And I edged this in a marker that was losing color. So you can see here there are spots that's a little bit grayish, but I think it matches the vibe perfectly. So yeah, so I was saying I was planning to read the book before using this deck, but they do say you can use it even without the book, and I have read with this deck a few times without reading the book, without knowing anything about the book. But yeah, I want to read it before I really dive into this deck, but I love the art. Again, if you notice, I usually get decks because I am drawn to the art. So maybe me collecting decks is also me kind of like collecting pieces of art. Yeah, but so this is what it looks like. And I don't know, it just feels, although I don't think there's like really a lot of magical creatures here, or it just feels like it's this magical world that you're being drawn into. So that's why I put it in this category. It is in this like linen cardstock. I don't mind it, but it is a little bit noisy. Like, I don't know if you can hear it. And not in a good way. It's kind of irritating. It's not the usual sound of like good quality cardstock or linen cardstock. So, I don't know. It just kind of sometimes weirds me out. Now, in all honesty, I love the art. I want to get the book. I want to read the book before I use this, but I haven't used this maybe almost in a year. So I kind of think that this is also a maybe in my collection. Yeah, so it's not just the Crystal Unicorn, so probably also the Phantom Wise. Now next is this Fairy Tale Tarot deck. This is an indie deck from Lamucci Design. And I think this is one of their earlier decks. The guidebook is a little bit basic. I don't really mind it. I got this primarily because of the art. I was drawn to the art. So it's black with these colorful figures. Feels... I'm not sure how to describe it, but something about like the round faces, the long noses, I was drawn to it. Now I do wish that these were edged. I feel like this needs an edging, and I probably will be doing that one of these days. Yeah, I like the art, but also thinking about it, aside from, it's very much RWS imagery, and aside from like how it's depicted or how it's drawn, I don't really feel anything more out. I don't get anything more out of it. You know what? I think this is also a maybe. This isn't this hasn't been in my collection for a long time, and probably just a couple of months. I'm definitely keeping it for now. It's just that I don't really know whether it's something that I see myself keeping for a long time in my collection. So yeah, for now, the Fairy Tale Tarot deck, also a maybe. So maybe this is why I forgot about these decks when I was collecting the ones for recording. But yeah. The last one, this is the Edmund Dulac Tarot. This is a mass market Los Carabeo deck. I love shuffling this deck because I like the Los Carabeo cardstock. Now this really reminds me of like storybooks, the imagery. The guidebook for this one, it's just this little white book and also in multiple languages because it's a Los Carabeo deck. So there's really not a lot of information that you can get here. Just a few basic sentences talking about the card, but you know, it doesn't tell you like this is from this fairy tale, for example, or inspired by. And I think that that is what is lacking in this deck. Now, I do love a lot of the art here. Not all, but it's a unique art style. And again, it's like it's in this world that invites you to look into this world. This one is very familiar. But yeah. But I would have to say that this is also a maybe. Not an outright rehome, but I don't, if I rehome this deck, I don't think I would miss it. So maybe that's why it's a maybe for now. So it's something that I don't think I will miss. I like having it, but if I let it go, I don't think I would miss it much. And this usually happens, especially for decks in tuck boxes, because there's not a lot, you know, it doesn't have a book that you can keep referring to or reread. So I think that's my mindset. I usually keep decks that have more substantial guidebooks. So yeah, so all of those decks that I forgot to add in the main video are maybes. So in this entire collection, or in this particular collection, I have four decks that are candidates for rehoming, or 4 decks that I'm not sure of, and the rest are keeps. Now I hope you find this video helpful, and let me do my spiel again. If you did, don't forget to click on the like button and do consider subscribing to my channel. Again, see you again next time. Bye!